Hey, this is Max here, and in this tutorial you will learn how you can use dynamic content in ManyChat to basically pull external data into ManyChat and dynamically generate your messages. It's really cool what is possible with it. So I will show you how you can set this up, and I also want to show you a cool example so that you can get started with this. So let's just dive right in. So what is dynamic content? So it's basically a block that you can add to your flow to dynamically generate a message based on external data. That message can, for example, contain just a regular message, a gallery, an image, or a combination of these. Now, how does it work? So I have to admit, it is going to be a bit techy, but if you just do this step by step, then you should really be all right. Now, the first thing that we have to do is that we have to add a dynamic content block to our send message block inside our flow. I'll also show you all of these things in a bit. Then inside that dynamic content block, we are going to start a request to start a scenario inside Integromod. So Integromod, in case you don't know it, it's an online automation platform, and they make it really easy for us to generate our dynamic content without any programming knowledge. Now then inside Integromod, we pull the data that we need from wherever we like, and then we generate the response for ManyChat with Integromod, and we write it in JSON format. Now this JSON thing, that's probably the most complicated thing about this whole tutorial, because ManyChat expects you to send something back like this. So we're going to create our block. Then we get the data from somewhere, and then ManyChat wants a response like this. So JSON is a data structure. Now, in case you do not know how you write this, I wrote a really cool guide about it. So how to write JSON for non-programmers. I'll also link out to this underneath this video, and then you just see a bunch of examples so that you can really master how this actually works, because it's not too hard as soon as you know what all these brackets and colons and quotes are for. But I'll just explain this step by step. So this is basically the simplest version that I have. So this will send back a text with the text, simple text with button. And they also have a button here. You see here button, that is this is the button data. So it is a URL. And then the caption, so the text on the button is external link, and the URL of the button is ManyChat.com. So let's just generate this. So we have our flow, then we have our send message block, and then you add a dynamic content block. So then in here you click add a request, and then we have to add our request URL. So what you have to do, go over to Integromod and click create a new scenario. Now then here it will ask what services do you want to integrate. Now here I'll just click skip. And this is the first module, and this should be a webhook. So you just click here webhook, and then you click here custom webhook. Then we're going to add a new one, and I always like to start with the name of the tool, because you can also integrate it with other tools if you want to. And then I would just call this dynamic content example. And then I will call it 2, because I know that I also have another one. Then I click here save. And then you see here that we're going to get a URL. So this is the response URL or request URL that we're going to need. And then you also see here that this thing is waiting. It is waiting for data so that it know how it is structured. A bit taggy, but just copy the link, go back over to ManyChat, paste it in here, and then click here, test the request. Now then you're going to get an error back. That's totally normal. Just go back over here, then you see that the data structure was successfully determined. Now then what you want to do is you want to create a webhook response. So this is receiving the data, this is sending the data. So then you want to set back the status. So 200 just means, okay, everything was all right. And then we have our body. So then we go back over here, and then we just copy this. So this is for sending a text, right? You can also here get some other examples for image, video file, audio file, files, gallery cards. There's a whole bunch of examples in there that you can just change to your own needs. But I'll just stick with the simplest one here, sending a text. I will copy this, I will paste this in here, and I just click OK. Then I save this, and then we're going to click run once. So by the way, in this scenario, we don't get any data from somewhere. This is basically not really dynamic, because that response is just static, but it will show you how you can change that in a bit. And then over here, we're going to click test the request. And then we just wait for getting a response. Then this should start any second. And then you see here, boom, boom, it started and it has sent this back. Then you see also here, your response is valid. Click save, click publish. And then I want to just do it one more time so that you can also see what this looks like inside Messenger. So I'm going to preview this. We're going to wait here. And then you see here, simple text with button, external link. And then if I click this, this will go to the ManyChat website. So that's exactly what this says here. So here you just have the version, the content, and then you have your message. Now you see that we have a message over here, and then the type is text. Text is simple text with button, external link, and then this. So that's exactly what you see over here. So all you have to do is to change that JSON to send something else back. So what I want to show you is I want to show you a cool example. So this is a website, or actually an API, where you can get random useless facts. So then you can just get a random fact and you can display that inside ManyChat or inside Messenger, and then you have your dynamic message. So what I do is I copy this over here and then I just paste that back here. And then I'm going to hit enter here, and then you see already here that it is sending us some things back. But this we want to get dynamically inside Integromod. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this. I say here unlink. Then here I say okay, add another module. Then I do HTTP. So this is basically another request which you also have in ManyChat. Make a request. Then I do this in here. I leave this to get. And then I click here, parse response. And it will basically make it really easy to use. Then we click here, awk. And then I'm going to click here, right mouse click, run this module only. And then you see over here that we got a test. And then if you click here, data, then you see here, text, non-dairy creamer is flammable. Now that's our little fact then. Now then I connect it to the next one also, the response, and then I'm going to delete this default text with simple text with button. And then we're going to add the variable here, text, non-dairy creamer is flammable, text. And then I do not want to have a button in there. So what I do is I delete this. You see that this is the button data. I'm just going to remove this and then make sure that these brackets are here next to each other. I'm going to click awk. I click here save. I click run once. So run once is just really handy to test if everything is working well. So then publish, and then here I click preview, and then we see what we get back. Now, camels have 3 eyelids to protect themselves from blowing sand. I bet you did not know that one, right? So yeah, that is basically how it is working. So let me explain it one more time. We have our send message block, our dynamic content block in that. Then we have our request URL. If you want, you can send data over inside the body. Maybe you want to send the email address over or a certain number. Maybe you want to generate dynamic coupons, whatever it is. You can use that for that. And then when you here click test the request, then you can see test here basically if everything is working well. So if you get here 200, okay, your response is valid. And then you can just test it, preview it to see if everything is working well over here. And then when everything is working well, you turn your scenario to on, and then you don't have to click that run once button anymore. Then you can just test it over and over again, and then also other people can start getting your random facts. So yeah, that is how the dynamic content block works. So it's just a simple example. There's really lots of other cool use cases for this. I'm, for example, also dynamically generating an overview of my latest blog articles, or dynamically generating which download the person wants. But I did not want to make this too complicated. But if you have a use case for dynamic content that you would really love to see, then make sure to comment below, and then maybe I will also make a tutorial about that. Now, if you like this tutorial, give it a little thumbs up. That really helps me a lot, and be sure to subscribe if you want to see more tutorials like this.